everything's so freaking emotional, is you have all these various news outlets, whether it's NBC, ABC, CBS, CNN. It's like they all have their own quote unquote agendas. So it's like, well, where do you ever get, or Fox, like, where do you ever get, and I just threw out Fox, but then their slogan is like, what, fair and balanced? And it's like, where do people go for, independent, unbiased information? And I think that's where a lot of people are struggling. And what's really interesting, and I'd like to kind of expand on this, is like, since you left the AP, the whole media landscape has changed. Like now you have, these influencers, podcasters, like non-traditional media that have probably play a much bigger role in getting out news, and whether that news is factual or not is a kind of like a whole nother issue or story.
Yeah, it's gotten almost impossible to answer because the media landscape has changed so many times since I left, and there used to be understood standards of who was down the middle. Going back to the days of the original TV anchors and, Walter Cronkite.
They were the most trusted people in America.
Yeah, Edward R. Murrow, on radio and some of the major news outlets, and then it shifted to more of an understanding that Fox had a particular leaning and MSNBC had a leaning. Maybe more like CNN was down the middle, but then CNN became under attack, by Trump. And, so now you have much more of a right-left perception, even if it's not the reality. I think, having worked at the AP a long time, and a lot of my colleagues I competed with at places like the New York Times, they have an amazingly fervent belief in being independent and fair and down the middle. And I think it's a very fair characterization of them. But each individual, Paul, gets to decide now. I get my news from so-and-so. I'm going to listen to NPR, or I'm specifically not going to listen to NPR. I'm going to follow my local news, or maybe even a particular writer within a newspaper, who I'm like, I trust this person, or I trust this writer, or I know that editor. And so it really comes down to individual choice.